The surprising truth about living buildings is that the biology is not the hard part. The hard part is everything we usually treat as boring: procurement, maintenance, monitoring, and records. In civic settings, those details decide whether a living facade becomes trusted infrastructure or a very public embarrassment. As of 2026, most deployed civic living architecture is still bounded in scope. Think living walls, green facades, planting integrated interiors, and bio-derived finishes, not fully biological buildings. That matters because even these limited systems already expose the real constraint. They do not fail first in the greenhouse. They fail in the operating budget, in access routes, and in unclear responsibility when the ribbon-cutting team is long gone. Living wall design practice has been unusually blunt about what makes these systems work. Plant selection matters, but so does the growth substrate. Irrigation is not a nice-to-have. Nutrient management is not optional. Access routes are part of the design, not an afterthought. Replacement cycles are real because living components age. Maintenance responsibility must be assigned because everyone means no one. Case studies reinforce the same point, with less romance and more reality. Performance varies with irrigation reliability, maintenance scheduling, and how well the living assembly is integrated into the building. A wall that looks lush in year one can degrade fast if a pump fails, a contract lapses, or the system can't be safely reached. A living facade is a machine for moving water, managing moisture, and keeping biology within bounds. If you cannot service it, you cannot own it. Now add the civic layer, and the stakes rise. Civic architecture is not neutral. Public buildings act as representation, institutional memory, and civic education. A courthouse, a library, a school, or a transit hub is already telling citizens a story about competence and legitimacy. Put a visible biological system on that building, and you amplify the message. If it thrives, it can signal care, stewardship, and modern capability. If it browns, leaks, grows pests, or gets fenced off because nobody can access it, it signals the opposite. There is a second, quieter failure mode that strategy teams often miss. Information can die even when the asset survives. Research on biological collections has a name for this: dark data. Data exists but becomes unusable because metadata is missing. Formats become obsolete or handoffs are sloppy. That's a direct analogy for monitored living infrastructure. You can install sensors, stream dashboards, and still end up with years of readings that no future team can interpret. Contractor turnover, software changes, and forgotten calibration histories can erase learning across projects. For long-lived civic portfolios, record stewardship is not paperwork, it is compounding advantage. So what does doing it right look like for public owners? First, treat living assemblies as an asset class, not decoration. If it is a living wall, it belongs in the asset register with fields that force clarity. Intended service, biological components, irrigation dependency, who maintains it, how it is accessed, what telemetry is collected, what the safe failure mode is, when it will be replaced, when it must be decommissioned. Second, fund operations before approving capital. If irrigation, pruning, nutrient management, pest control, sensor calibration, and replacement cannot be funded for multiple years, then the project is not infrastructure ready. In a civic context, Visible failure is not just technical debt, it is reputational debt. Third, mandate access by design. Reject designs that cannot be reached, inspected, repaired, or removed without extraordinary cost. Drawings should show service points, drainage inspection, sensor locations, and replacement procedures. If access is unsafe or unclear, the system will eventually become abandoned biology bolted to a public building. Fourth, define performance in non-romantic terms. Some functions are measurable, like shading, humidity buffering, or thermal moderation. Others are legitimate but different, like education, symbolism, and public engagement. The contract should state which is which. Each claimed environmental function should have a measurement method. If a benefit is primarily civic education or representation, say so, and evaluate it as such. Fifth, own the telemetry. Require data dictionaries, units, sensor locations, calibration histories, maintenance logs, and exportable formats that the public owner controls. No vendor dashboard should be the only record of performance. Otherwise, you are building dark data into the project from day one. This is also where materials science enters, with a useful but limited promise. Research in 2025 showed that protein surface chemistry can encode adaptive tolerance to desiccation, meaning the capacity to endure drying and rehydration cycles. That points toward a future where bio-derived interfaces might tolerate harsher civic conditions, like heat, ultraviolet exposure, and variable moisture.